As once stated by Roy Disney, when your values become clear to you, making decisions becomes much easier. My name is Jordan Naffziger, and I'm an economics student in Robert Kimball's Management 110 labs on Fridays from 9 to 9:50 a.m. Today I'd like to talk about my results from the Iliad Assessment Center that we completed a couple of months ago at the beginning of the semester, and focus in on one specific skill that I need to improve on, which is decision making. I'll then go into the two plans that I've constructed in order to help enhance my decision-making skills, as well as the time frame that I've given myself to measure whether or not those plans took proper effect. To start, I'd like to discuss my results from the assessment center. So I predicted before we took the assessment that I would perform better than approximately 30% of my colleagues that also took the assessment center, when in actuality I scored within the bottom 15 percentile, which left a 15-point gap, which is a lot of room for improvement. While I was able to excel in identifying the strengths and weaknesses for each decision being made, I need to work on my recommendations that need to be made when it comes to group work, identifying the consequences of each decision being made, as well as identifying the next appropriate steps needed to be made in the decision-making process. So, when referring to the book, in chapter 3, it explains that our ability to make decisions becomes much easier when the stakeholders are identified and prioritized, and the stakeholders are just the people that are impacted by the decisions that are being made. So once you identify your stakeholders and prioritize them, making decisions becomes much easier. Wisebread.com also suggests that narrowing your options for solutions for decisions being made will help, as well as making a cost-benefit analysis for each decision and each solution, along with obtaining the opinions of your colleagues, all three of which will make your decision-making process much more smooth. So in the short term, as my job as a server in a restaurant, I plan on, if the decision needs to be made in a quick time frame or in a short time frame, I'd like to identify figure out who's at stake, talk to a manager and two of my coworkers that are on, and obtain their opinions, and then go about making my decision just through opinions. This could apply to issues with large parties, issues with compromised guest experiences, and whatnot. So in the long term, as an educator in the future, I'd like to, if there's an issue that might require more time or might not need as short of a time frame to decide, I'd like to physically write out the stakeholders and the people that are involved in the situation and who's going to be most impacted, prioritize them, develop a list of pros and cons for each solution, which will be a maximum of 3 per decision that needs to be made, as well as obtaining the opinions and advice of my superiors in the administration department, as well as a maximum of 2 educators alongside it. So I've given myself a time frame for the first plan, about 3 to 6 months. So this can be measured at work pretty easily, and it can also be measured with school. For the latter, I plan on using this more for school to see whether or not it works, and keep it in the back of my mind for the future when I do become an educator. And hopefully within those 3 to 6 months, I'll be able to figure out whether or not they worked. So in short, I need to focus on my decision-making skills and identifying consequences for each decision and each solution are being made, identify the next steps in making a decision, as well as giving recommendations when it comes to group work. So I plan on using 2 solutions for, depending on the circumstance, one for decisions that need to be made quickly, the other for decisions that need to be made over the course of time, and I hope to measure the success rate of both within the next 3 to 6 months, and hopefully down the road in the next couple of years, give them another shot. So in short, that's that. What would you do if you knew that you had to enhance your decision-making skills?